Dan Dakich, weekdays noon till 3 on FM 107.5 and 1070 The Fan.
Class is about to be in session. Sit back, and that includes me. I'll ask a question, and I will sit here and listen thoroughly because I learn something every time I talk to the man, whether it is on the air, whether it is via a text message. Presented by the District Tap and courtesy of the Four Winds Lakeside Inn Marina Hotline. It's the coach. It is Rick Venturi for his weekly Wednesday visit. Hello, my friend. How you doing?
Greg, I'm doing good. I was able to get out to San Francisco for a few days to visit my daughter there in Sausalito. Weather cooperated, about 75 degrees, so basically refreshed and ready to go. I'm sure you feel this way when you have a break in the middle of the season. It seems like a month since we've played, and it's like, please, after winning 2 in a row and having the momentum going, it's like, let's get this thing on again.
No doubt about that. No, it's the perfectly timed bye in terms of literally being the midway point of the season. It wasn't perfectly timed just because the Colts were doing some good things heading into it. As a coach or as a player, because you've been through this, is it really that difficult to kind of turn it back on once you have that break?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think particularly, with a young team, with a new coaching staff, a lot of buzz, a lot of new guys, always something different every day. And I think that going into this second half with a real look, with a real feel that you have an opportunity. You got Jacksonville, who, we know was struggling. They were 0 for October. But I think, you have to expect a 217 effort from them. And if you put enough good tape on the plate for people to see, you'll get your team's attention pretty quickly. And you're coming back home now for several games. So I don't think it's that difficult, and it can't afford to be, because you're really sitting, Greg, in what I consider the most significant part of the season emotionally, because this games 9 through 12 really are the games that you align yourself, that you position yourself. December decides it, but November positions it. And, basically because our division is so lumped. I mean, Houston is out there 6-3, and God knows, had we not given them one, we were like Lazarus to them. I mean, we let them rise from the dead back there, or who knows where there'd be. But this division is very, very balanced, and so, the Colts either, step ahead like the clock this month and put themselves in position, and maybe Houston comes back, which I think they will, and then you're in for it. And, a lot of things are happening. You got Jacksonville, Tennessee, Miami, and then Jacksonville. And, in that sense, there's some good things. I think that Jacksonville is still good on defense. They haven't been the team on, ranking-wise, they're very, very good. And I think they're capable of that. But when you watch this year's film as opposed to last year's film, you just don't see that team that just totally changes the trajectory of the game. You don't see those 10-sack games. You don't see the big turnover, creating turnovers, getting leads, and then they're, kind of let their, their below average offense look better. You just haven't seen that, and, quite frankly, they have their 30th or 29th in points scored. Tennessee is 30th in points scored. Miami's 24th in points scored. And you come back to Jacksonville again. So even though I think our defense is struggling in some ways, particularly in terms of stopping the pass and the time of possession, those teams kind of come back to you. And if you look at the quarterback ratings from Bortles, I'm talking about, you look at the passer ratings, Bortles, Mariota, and then regardless of who it is, Osweiler or Tannehill at Miami, they're at the bottom. They're really bottom feeders. So, the things that have hurt us, I think we have some advantages going in. And if we can, we can keep the offense going. The offense certainly has been a bright spot. Now, albeit, has kind of developed, the two teams that we have won and Pro Football Focus has anointed this team aren't very good. So, I mean, there is a caveat there, and we are going to get back now into relevant teams here in this month. And I say relevant because even though their offensive numbers aren't very good, there's some pretty good defensive teams here. I mean, Jacksonville's 2. I think Tennessee is up there to 6 or 8. Miami's not very good, but the next 2 weeks you're going to face some guys and you're going to face some rushers like Campbell, and Ngakoue. And then against Tennessee, you're going to see Casey and Arakpo and the young kid Landry who's coming on, and Miami has Wake. So, some of the things that we haven't been tested on in the last couple weeks, we will get tested on coming up.
All right, let's talk about the Colts before we get really headlong into talking about Jacksonville. And we saw the health of this team radically improve over the last couple of weeks going into the bye. So now you're finally looking at the full complement of weapons, a healthier T.Y. Hilton, the 1-2 punch of Doyle and Ebron, more of Marlon Mack. And clearly the offensive line, something has clicked over the last 2 or 3 games. And they scored 42 points the last time they played, albeit against a Raiders team that you can question just how much of an NFL team they really are right now. So what's a realistic expectation for this Colts offense going forward as long as they can keep this group together?
Well, I'm very optimistic about it. And like I said, now we're going to go from, this is like a sports car race. We're going to go from the GT division to the GP division here. And so we'll see if we were just first in class or where we actually go. So we're going to have a good test the next 2 weeks, and particularly I think Jacksonville is capable of playing real good defense. I'm optimistic for several reasons. I don't think any of us, be a student of the game, be a fan of the Colts, can be disappointed in anything that Andrew Luck's done. I mean, he has come back, and he has come back beyond my expectations. He threw the 121 balls in 4 days. But what's been wonderful is because we've developed other assets, particularly that running game, is he has played the last couple of weeks with less numbers but totally in control of the game. You see a guy who's working efficiently, extending when he has to and can, but doing nothing silly, not forcing the ball. You almost, if you were in the back of his head, you almost say that he's saying to himself is, I do not have to make every play here. I can make plays, I will make plays, but I don't have to make every play. So there's not a frenetic quality to him. And when he's on like that, it's hard to find many better. The offensive line is probably the most pleasant surprise of the season. Obviously we started without tackles. That was tough. I thought Frank and Sirianni did a great job of adapting to losing Hilton, losing Doyle, no tackles, no running backs. I mean, it was amazing that they kept competitive even though there weren't very good numbers. But, again, necessity is the mother of invention. And we got, obviously, the best thing that we did is we got Costanzo back. I mean, everybody's talking about the young kid at left guard, and not to take anything away from him, I think the biggest difference has been Costanzo. Costanzo has owned the left side, passing and running. I mean, he's taken those rushers who are pretty good players and just absolutely destroyed them. So immediately the most important position on the offensive line got solidified and actually has been playing at a high level. Then you go in and now the right side, which we thought would maybe be a nagging question all year, actually at this point is playing better than we've seen it in recent years. Smitty at right tackle, despite what most of us thought, has done a commendable job, as has, Glowinski next to him. Kelly is playing outstanding. I've said this for 3 weeks, that Kelly, and now it's being echoed throughout the league, but I said that a couple weeks ago, that Kelly is doing a really good job getting to the second level. So the offensive line has come together. The numbers are there, the 156 snaps without a sack. What is it, 3 games now? I mean, it's not just the sacks. I mean, in the past, Sometimes there weren't sacks, but the guy was hit 20 times or he ran out. He has not really been pressured very much. He hasn't even been pinched in the pocket. And the most important thing along with that has been the development and the execution of the running game. And those guys, and now that's one thing I will reserve a little judgment on the protection because we're going to see some better teams coming in. But there's no reason, Greg, there's absolutely no reason that the running game can't continue to be this way as long as Mac is there. And the reason I say that, and I give so much credit to Reich and these guys and Coach Googs up front, they have been very creative with the running game. It isn't just line up and run zone runs, and then have, people slash you after a while. They've been very creative. They've run different things, counters, whams, power, zones, reverses, speeds. I mean, they've done everything in there, and they've executed the volume extremely well. Where the offensive line has improved, other than the personnel changes, is they have done a really good job the last weekend, actually last 8 quarters, of really not only blocking and securing the line of scrimmage, but getting up to the second level. I mean, Nelson's done a good job of it. Kelly's done a good job of it. You just see it, week in and week out now, and so we're getting linebackers blocked too early in the season. We're pretty much running free. The protection has been good. Like I said, that will be tested. That will be tested a little bit more in the second half of the season. We'll see how that holds up. And then you add 2 elements. You add the Mac element. There's no question that Mac is head and shoulders the top back on this team, and he's an explosive back. You saw him, a week ago take what would have been a 5-yard game in a playbook and make it a 49-yard gain. He's explosive. He's now beginning to show that he can be an every down back, not just a bounce and run player. I thought he could, and he's coming to fruition on that. You don't have to hold the block very long because he's hitting it fast. And then, as you mentioned early, which probably isn't a surprise to us, but I think the numbers are a surprise. We all thought, I think, we were there every day, you and I, we talked all the time, that our tight end position would be the strength of this team. I don't think anybody doubted that. We thought that Doyle, would be, was obviously the good player that he is, that Ebron would add the matchup issue, and then we had some depth. But, now you've got 12 touchdowns out of that guy. You got Swope catching touchdowns. You got Ali Cox making one-handed catches. And Ebron, I think, probably has gone beyond what everybody hoped. I thought we could get out of them, but this staff utilizes tight ends. I mean, they've been, any time they get around that red zone from the 30 in, they're going to get Ebron a matchup that you like. And if they don't get Ebron the matchup, like on the Swope touchdown 2 weeks ago, I mean, Ebron started down the seam and then ran to the corner. That took the safety, and underneath comes Swope back inside. So Ebron's presence has been amazing. And because we don't have a big bankboard wideout, it was important to develop somebody, and it's really become our tight ends, and our coaches have been smart enough to use it. I do think, as a kind of an ancillary deal here, I think that Inman helps us. I think I like him. He was a 58-catch guy in 2016 before he got hurt. Obviously knows the Reich Sirianni offense and that, so he's an instant placement in there. This is a guy who is not a great player, but I think he's better than all the others because we're so lacking after Hilton. We have Hilton, but people know that, and so they can direct coverage. Now I think you got a guy that at least is a complementary guy that is a potential too. Probably, if I had to put my analyst hat on totally, I'd say that we're probably an X receiver away from being really good, and then we'll see how the offensive line measures up when they get the Jaguars and Tennessee and some of these good defenses coming up.
Thursday at 1 and Friday at 1, when you go to Colts.com, you can check out the game plan with Coach Venturi. First Down with Rick Venturi is the official title. Thursday at 1, the offensive game plan. Friday at 1, the defensive game plan, and it's the latter I want to focus on right now. Let's take away the bingo free space that was playing the Buffalo Bills with Derek Anderson as the quarterback from 3 weeks ago. You sandwich the 2 games before that. 42 points from Sam Darnold, who has not looked good over the last month, and then 28 points from an Oakland Raiders group that 4 days later looked hapless against the San Francisco 49ers. So with that, Coach, as you see this team defensively, the thing that stands out to me as different from the first 3 or 4 games has been the pass rush has up and gone away. Why do you think that's been the case?
Yeah, and I think people now have figured out basically who we are. I mean, early in the year, you kind of have to play straight because you're not exactly sure, even though you've studied, where guys come from, what their pedigree is, but you have to play a little bit more straight. And in the last month or so, as you say, cast out the Buffalo game. I mean, they can't score a touchdown in a month. Basically this team has struggled. Now, positively, early, like you said, this team, was able to generate some disruption up front. They still are in the top 10 in sacks, tackles for losses. I mean, early in the year, they were really able to do that, and they were able to do it without a lot of blitzing, just a little bit of blitzing, but not a lot. So there were some really good things there. They also did a pretty good job of protecting the red zone. So even though, they gave up a lot of yardage, they didn't give up a lot of over-the-top touchdowns, and kept everything tight. And then they have generated some turnovers. I mean, they've had the ability to take it away at times. What's caught up to them, though, is the fact that they have a lot of trouble. They have a lot of trouble with their passing coverage scheme. And in my opinion, it then affects the rush. And this is why I say this. If you look at 3 really tough statistics on this team, points given up. Now, that's not all defense. A lot of that was turnovers early, but we're 26th. Time of possession, we're 28th. And pass percentage, we are 31st. And those last 2 are interrelated. I mean, we are giving up 72.4% of pass completions against us. We're making guys, even Derek Anderson had 70%. I mean, Derek Anderson, as bad as they were, had 304 yards in like 26 minutes. Last week, John had 347 yards in 23 minutes, 75% completions. And what's happened is teams are attacking because we're so simple on defense. Arians had alluded to it when he did our game with the Jets, at how easy it was for a young quarterback like Darnold, because he's really looking at either area zone or man-to-man free, occasionally a fire zone. But it's really, and really when I was taught in 1962 to differentiate between area zone and man-to-man coverage. I mean, there's got to be more nuance to it. And so what teams have done in the last month is basically when they come out on first down, they do a couple things. One, they throw the ball really quick. They spread you, and they throw the ball, and if you're in those area zones, it's an automatic completions. One of the reasons our linebackers have so many tackles is they make 1 million tackles a game after the ball is completed. They have amazing amount of tackles on the passing game. So, that's number one. And so the ball comes out, and, directly related to your question, you're not going to get to the quarterback. You're not going to get him if the ball's coming out on the 3rd step or the 5th step, whatever that is. So that's one way. And so then, we just hit a quick one for 5 yards. If they lean forward for 2, you're looking at 2nd and 3 all day, okay? So then, the second thing that they're doing to us is they realize that when you're in an area zone, you can move the linebackers with eye control. So they're giving you play action, boom, play action. That freezes the linebackers. By freeze, I mean they're going to be sucked up to some degree to play the run. And then there's a big hole because you're not running with people or you're not matching people in the back end. So there's a big hole in that area. That area now widens between the linebackers and the safeties, and they're getting chunk plays on that. The third aspect of that is just throw the quick screens. They're throwing the quick screens because you're off, and when you throw the quick screens, you catch it. You got blockers in front. It's almost like running a sweep outside. And then the icing on the cake, both the Jets did it and Gruden did it twice or 3 times, is then you fake quick screen, and now that moves the linebackers because they fly to the screen, and all of a sudden you start to hit behind them on the seams, and that's where the chunk plays came. So, against the Raiders, the bend but don't break was 4 touchdowns. That's breaking. That's not. I mean, that's bend but don't break means you bend but you give up 4 field goals. But that was bend and don't break. And so I think for this team now, I do feel that offenses are going to come back to them. Like I said, you're playing teams in the next 3 weeks that have 30th, 29th, and 24th in terms of points scored. So this is not, you're not getting juggernauts in here. But to me, if you're going to be good and make a run, you have to address what I just said. You've got to be able to choke people off, and it can't just be man-to-man because they see man-to-man. You show that because that looks so much different than the rest of your stuff, and that's when you're getting the rub routes and all that stuff. So, they've got to figure out and find a happy medium that they can get in and within zone coverage, get tighter matchups, and get choke and not end up 2nd and 3 all day. Because when you do that, then you end up 3rd and 3. And right now we're, the other problem that we're really having is, we're giving up, it might be a league leading 42.1% on 3rd down. So, in a lot of long drives. Now, what do the long drives do to you and all that ball possession that you end up losing the time of possession? And the time of possession in itself isn't always a big deal. But when you start, giving up 7-8 minutes, that means your offense has only got the ball 26 minutes. So eventually teams will ball control you and keep it out of your offensive hands. So, they got a lot of work to do. Now, that's where the bye, to me, tactically, that I would have addressed that. I would address that. I would not be stubborn and just say, well, we got to do things better. I mean, no, I think you have to do some tweaking.
So we have broken down like no other everything from the Indianapolis perspective. Let's get to the Jacksonville perspective. I have teased up Blake Bortles, but I know in my off-air conversations with you, Coach, it has been much more of, hey, let's focus on Jacksonville's defense because they're good, but they're not what they were in 2017. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, it's just interesting. They just haven't. They just don't jump off the screen now. In terms of ranking, I mean, they're still 2nd, in the league in total defense. I think 1 in the pass. But, they've been pushed around running the football. Their rush defense, they're down around 25th. I mean, they've really struggled. And what I've noticed is they haven't been the impactive team. It was Jacksonville, and that was a legitimate statement about them last year. I mean, they came in. They had two 10-sack games once against us. I mean, this was a team that it basically blew you up, created turnovers all over the field, gave the offense short field, gave them leads, gave them everything that an anemic offense needs. We haven't seen that part of their defense. They have not been that impactive, explosive turnover, sack a second team. And that's the difference. It's hard to define it because most of the same characters are still there. Now Boye has been hurt the last couple of weeks, so they're struggling a little bit at corner opposite Ramsey. But when you look at them, obviously I just don't think that they handle success well. They got very mouthy. They've had internal situations, obviously. The most noted one was the Ramsey deal early in the season with Fowler. So I think what they've decided is on this break, take the breath. Hey, they're still a good team. They still can win it. Let's make a chemistry decision. So they ship Fowler out. And I think, basically what they're saying there is that we can make this team better by subtraction. That will remain to be seen because Fowler is an impactive rusher. But basically, I would play this game and expect a 17 effort. They're going to be rested. They know they have to get it right. They've got to have it on the line. And basically, they've slaughtered us in 4 out of the last 5 games that we've played. And Bortles has been outstanding. I mean, it's an anomaly because he doesn't play worth a damn versus anybody else, but he's had great games. I think the biggest thing is they haven't gotten the leads for their offense, but they're still very capable. I mean, they've got 2 guys up front that you got to handle. I mean, one of my favorite players in the league is Calais Campbell. I mean, 3-time Pro Bowler. He's an all-pro. His numbers are phenomenal, 76 sacks, 45 pass knockdowns. The giant of a man at 6'8". He'll play the left end on early downs, sometimes the right end. They'll move him around. He's the power end, and he plays everything well. He plays the run. He plays the pass. I don't think he quite has the juice of last year because he's getting up there. He might be 32, I think. But, he still is a real man. I would push the run definitely away from him. And then on third down, he moves inside. And that's where, now Glowinski, and Nelson, those guys will get a test when he goes inside, a little bit like they do with Watt. He plays outside on early downs, inside on late downs. So I think you have to negotiate him all day. The other guy that is dynamic, is Yannick Ngakoue on the other side. He's rookie, all-rookie team 2 years ago, made the Pro Bowl last year. In only 2 seasons, he has 25 sacks and 10 forced fumbles. So he is, and he's mostly on our left edge. So, that's kind of where we want him. That's a good matchup for us with Costanzo. But he is a very, very dangerous rusher. Just from a pure physical standpoint, chemistry notwithstanding, we probably get a break because Smitty doesn't have to look at Fowler on the right side. That is, I think that hurts them in terms of their third down defense, but maybe the other things will help them. 2 outstanding linebackers in Jack and Telvin Smith, very, very athletic. Again, when you run, you want to either run right at them, like I said, push away as much as you can from Campbell. Those linebackers are really fast, so you want to go at them, not try to go wide. When you do go wide, go with misdirections like reverses and things like that. Get them to over-pursue. Play actions like bootlegs, get them out of position. And then the guy that's really, really good is Ramsey. And, I mean, he's the mouth of the South, and, you dislike him and all that, but he's still very, very good. I mean, if you look at him at, 6'1", 208, at 4'4", 41.5-inch vertical, 4.8 short shuttle, and you look at him and you Googled it up, that's what the definition of a corner would be. And he has all that ability. I mean, in a short 2-year span, he has like 7 picks and 35 passes broken up. I mean, so use your head. Boye had played really good for him a year ago, has been a little nicked, hasn't been as effective. They lost Colvin. Their nickel hasn't been effective. So they're a little bit lighter at the corner away from Ramsey. So I'm not saying that you never have to go at Ramsey, but, when you get to crunch time, let's make an effort to go away from him. Let's make an effort to get away from him. But I would expect a great effort for them. I'd be ready for the game of my life on their defense. And then when you flip it over on their offense, they have just been they have really, really struggled. I mean, they're like 25th rushing the ball. This was a team who made a living rushing the ball. Now, they lost Fournette. I mean, he's only got 71 yards, and he may or may not play. This may be his first game back, I guess. He is practicing. We'll see. Obviously, that could be a psychological lift to them because, again, without a running game, this team is paralyzed because then all their warts come out. So when they have Fournette and then Yeldon is a role player rather than the key guy, Yeldon becomes a real weapon because Yeldon is really good on loose plays, passing game. He can get deep on the passing game. When he's a day-in, day-out runner, he's not all that strong. But when he and Fournette, can alternate, and they did make a move for Carlos Hyde, although he's only been there for 15 seconds. So, but that's what they have to get going. They have to get the running game going. They were a top rushing team a year ago, and like I said, they're in the bottom third of the league solidly, and they really are in trouble there if they don't do it. Now, the receivers, we know Dante is their ex-receiver. He's dangerous, as we know, in that inconsistent as he may be, he is a deep threat. He does have 20 touchdowns in his career and a pretty good catch yardage average. And so he is a guy that can get on top of you if you let him. They're all-purpose guys. D.D. Westbrook, who plays the Z in the slot, he's really good with the ball in his hand. Bortles throws 2 plays well from the drop back. When he's in the drop back, he throws the fade well to Moncrief and the drag routes in there to Westbrook. Everything else is an adventure with him. And now we get to Bortles. And so to me, and we have not done a good job on Bortles in the past. To me, as a matter of fact, I devote 2 segments on Thursday for the fans. Actually, it'll be on Friday. The defensive and motivational stuff comes out Friday. There's a Saturday Bortles and a Sunday Bortles. And the first thing you have to do is you have to stop this Saturday Bortles. When I call it the Central Florida, that's where
sure.
you play college ball. Now, he's going to run the zone reads. He's going to run the bootlegs. He is a terrific scrambler, and believe it or not, on the run he's very accurate. When he's out scrambling and running around, all of a sudden throwing on the run, the arm, first of all, he doesn't have to think. He can play on athleticism. The field shrinks to one side. He's not winding up. Bam, the ball comes out, and all of a sudden he's an all-pro. So my first thing is you got to saw Bortles' legs off. You can't let him out on the edge. I mean, you know that going in. So protect the edges and have a disciplined rush against him. If you got undisciplined rushes, he'll take off and go 25 yards. I mean, he is a terrific athlete who throws the ball better on the run. Now, if you do that and you don't let him do that stuff and they don't run the ball because they have it, now you get him on the Sunday game alone and he has to be a Sunday NFL quarterback, he can be awful. And I've got a whole segment showing you how he can be awful, and their offensive line goes right along with it. This was an offensive line they hope to make better, but because they haven't run the ball and there's pressure on them, I mean, they are getting nothing out of those guys. Norwell, who they paid big money for, you can take a number. Canna, the right guard, has just struggled like heck, both tackles. So, he's been hit. Their sack ratio is way up, absolutely way up. I think they're 18th in giving up sacks with a mobile quarterback. So, again, stop the running game cold, no big plays over the top. And then, the big thing is have a good plan for Bortles. Take his legs away first, and then you get him if you force him in the pocket game. That's why getting a lead on these guys, which other teams have done, is so good. Every time they, even last year when they were good, when they had to play from behind, they don't play very good. So, get on top of these guys, make him a Sunday quarterback. And he has, they had 8 turnovers in the last 3 games. I mean, they've been turning it over, and they haven't gotten those takeaways. So, that's the key to the game. I mean, this is, again, expect the game of your life because this is it for them. They're rested. They made a chemistry move. They're trying to get all their ducks in a row now. And so, this should be a really, really battle Sunday.
You're the best, my friend, as always. Thanks for the time and the insight. I'm sure you and I will talk via text message at some point during Sunday's game. Thanks as always, bud.
Absolutely, Greg. Have a good one.
You too. You got it. Rick Venturi, his appearance courtesy of both the Four Winds Lakeside Inter Marina Hotline, not to mention our friends at the District Tap. Of course, Colts.com for First Down with Coach Venturi. Thursday at 1, offensive plan. Friday at 1, defensive plan. And Saturday morning at 9 a.m., the final preparation.